The bills don't care how heartbroken you are. They don't care how heavy life feels or how broken you are. They are still due and they still come. And here's the other thing. The body and your bank balance, they keep the score. They do not lie. At the end of the day, what your balance is at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, is a result of how much you have put in. How consistent are you? How leveraged are you in what you're putting into your effort, into your money, your relationships, your body? And when I talk about bills, I'm not just talking about financial. I'm talking about your health, your relationships, your purpose, your dreaming, your quality of life. What is the baseline that you hold right now in your own life experience? This is what I am facing right now after having sat down to do a review of January, February, to actually sit down and review and reflect on my effort and my input and my idea of what that looked like versus the actual documentation of it. And I have an app on my phone where you can't lie. It shows. And in January, I was consistent 20 days out of 31. In February, I was consistent 15 days out of 28. So we can fool ourselves when we're not tracking things. We can fool ourselves into believing that we are being more consistent than what we actually are. That our words are louder than our actions. And if your effort hasn't been matching your outcome lately, this is probably the yarn for you. If you are new here, my name is Chantel Thompson and I'm a proud Barkindji woman. I'm a mother of 5 children and I am a 3-time world champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and a black belt. And I am the matriarch, the custodian and the embodiment of the Warrior Heart movement, my Barkindji Warrior Journey to Black Belt, world champion, and the Kilana Foundation. Spaces, movements, and just absolutely needed spaces created to help people come home to themselves. If you are new here, hit like or subscribe. Come and check out the Warrior Heart community. It's a free community over on School where I am documenting my own journey of becoming. I don't just want to teach this stuff into the world. I don't want to just activate people into their hearts and in their truth and into their warrior selves, because let's be honest, many of us are still not allowed to exist in the world as we are. It is still not safe to be our true selves, our heart selves in the world as it is right now. We're either too loud, we're not enough, we're too much, or it's not safe. We have to mask, we have to perform. And you know what? I'm done with that. So I'm here sharing the journey as I'm walking and weaving it out loud. And I'm creating spaces and communities for others to do that alongside me, to walk the journey together. This isn't about being some guru. So if this speaks to you, hit like or subscribe, leave a comment, come and join the free community over on School where we get to do this work together. And if you are ready to go a little bit deeper, come and explore the Warrior Heart Inner Circle. This is a community of women who are already on the journey, who are awake to their own power and potential. And they're just ready to take the next step. And you also have the opportunity to work with me one-on-one. I have limited spaces available right now where I'm working with women one-on-one who are ready to just get into action. They don't want to do it alone. They are done with being broken. This is the season for you. I am in a season where I'm having to rebuild my bank balance, my body balance, my life purpose. There is crisis and chaos. There is a shitload of stuff to clean up. I cannot even begin to build the foundations of the next season until I've done the cleanup and I've decluttered and I've cleared the space of the crisis and chaos and the survival mode that was a result of the last 5 years. And in sitting down to reflect on January and February's results and experiences and what did I actually do versus what I said I was going to do, and how did that roll out into my impact, my income and my influence. Like what is being progressed, what is being stalled, what is being denied, what is being delayed. And it was confronting sitting with that because like I said, the body and the bank balance doesn't lie. And right now my income is my bills are overdue. I'm in debt up to my ears. My body is in pain. It's restricted. I've put on weight because I haven't been showing up. I haven't been being consistent because right now I'm in a season of trying to build a business that needs to generate revenue and income now, where I have housing and financial instability. And that is really difficult to live with when I look at previous versions of myself and the woman that I was in previous versions, and the success and the heights and the lifestyle that I had. But that was a very different version of myself. And I know that I'm capable of that and more, but I'm no longer her. I'm 42. Life looks very different. I have been through some big life changes and experiences over the last 5 years, from having my youngest child at 38 to developing postpartum depression again, to getting divorced after 20 years of being in a relationship, to speaking out loud that I experienced domestic violence in that relationship, to spiraling mental health and experiencing suicidal ideation and trying to take my own life, whilst also trying to run not one but two businesses, being the leader, the CEO, the founder, whilst also being a single mum and trying to manage my own mental health and having no other sources of income but that income generated from my own income, my own outputs, my own efforts. And now I know what I have to shift. I used to run from documenting my journey. I used to run from the information it provided because I personalized it. I made that information, that data, personal. I got emotional about it. I got triggered by it. The shame spiral, the grief spiral, I made it personal. I wasn't able to manage my own emotional responses to it. But also being visible, being successful comes with trauma triggers for me, because in the past, when I have upped my visibility, when I have started to gain some momentum and some success, I have got lived experience of being too much, not enough, not safe to be myself in my own experience. So I would downplay my own success and keep it at a certain level. So I was also allowed to belong in the other relationships and experiences that I had. I was this person out in the world, but in my own home and my own experience, I was a different version of myself. And I don't want to live in half measures anymore. I was talking to a titter last night and I said, I'm really, really proud of what I've been able to do. And I'm so grateful that I'm still here and can be resilient and can survive. But that's the baseline. I don't want to survive my own experience. I want to be able to be at peace and be able to be myself and exist as myself, nothing less or nothing more. No masking or performing or needing permission or someone else's authority to be myself in my own experience. The fact that I am here, the fact that the ancestors gave me this calling, and the fact that I am my own purpose, that is all the authority and the permission that I need. And the other thing I do, and I just preface, is last year I started building my YouTube channel. I started committing to building and documenting the journey. 80% of the episodes from 2025, I talked about everything that I needed, the framework, the roadmap, the outcomes, the vision, the dream. But I wasn't able to execute. I wasn't able to implement and make those things happen. I didn't lay the foundations. And this is where I sit right now in my home office. And this to-do list here on the wall, and these ones are overdue. They are the strategy, the business plan, the projects that needed to be completed in order to create progress. And looking at them in the past would bring me shame, it would bring me grief. I'm living the consequences right now. My children are living the consequences and are inheriting that experience of a mum who's dysregulated, of a mum who's in survival mode. The financial insecurity and instability that I have right now is a result of not showing up and following through. Now, obviously, yes, I was having a lot of life experiences that got in the way of my capacity and my capability to be able to be grounded enough to meet my triggers and manage myself enough to be able to disrupt the pattern, to do the work I needed to do to lay the foundation so that I could feel safe in my own experience. I could show up consistently. I could execute. I could show up, put in the work so that the results and the momentum could be created, and I could be consistent and committed in those efforts. Not go good for a couple of weeks and then something in my life happens, an event happens, or I get triggered and then I shut down. I become paralyzed, or I hide, or I go back into my mental health spiral. And I know that I'm done with that way of life, and my life is also done with that way of life, because I'm done with being broken. I'm ready to own my shit. But being able to say it versus being able to do it and hold that consistently long enough for me to be able to change my life, to lay foundations for the woman I'm becoming and the woman I need to be for this next season are two very different things. And I found that looking at reflecting and reviewing January, February, I was like, there's too many patterns still repeating themselves. I'm making this much progress versus talking about it. And there's not that consistency there. So when I started to look at my bank statements, I started to look at how many events I was able to hold, how many times I was able to invite people to work with me, like how many sales calls did I have, how many sales conversations did I have, how much effort and time, how many hours did I put into building the back end of my business so that I'm building a business that becomes sustainable in real time, not building on a house of cards and then generating revenue and then in 6 months going, okay, now that I've got income, it's kind of does the chicken or the egg come first situation. And I know what I'm noticing now is that consistency, focus, pressure and baselines are all real. The woman I am and the woman that I'm building from, and it's this journey and meeting place of reclamation and remembering the version of me that I always have been but have never been able to fully be her because of different reasons, different seasons, different selves, versus the woman I had to become because of the different lives and experiences that I've had. And this beautiful meeting place right now where those two women get to meet. And from that is the birthplace of the woman I'm becoming, of who I'm going to be on the other side of this. And the woman who can be the matriarch and the custodian, but also the being of the vision and the dreaming. The things that I'm weaving, the dreaming and the purpose, the callings that I have, isn't just to serve the world, it's also to serve different versions of me and spaces that I also want to exist in. I'm creating spaces that I want to see myself in because I don't have access to it. And here's the truth. I've been 10 years in business in October 16th, 2026, and I've had the highs of highs and the lows of lows. And yet I still know jack shit about business. I don't know my own business model. And here's what's confronting but also really powerful is that in this season, it's all coming back to full circle. I'm now giving myself permission to build the business that I always wanted to have, which is a personal brand business. My speaking, my story, my gifts and my strength are my business. I am my business. And I'm building a sustainable business. I'm building communities. I'm building speaking opportunities. I'm writing a book. I'm inviting people to invest in the woman and the vision so that frees me up so that I can create a living wage off of being Chantel, off of being an entrepreneur, of being the Barkindji warrior, Anishan Kilalana and the warrior heart. But I get paid to build these spaces. I get paid to walk and weave the journey in the building. Not just to tell the story or the lessons on the other side of it, but this is the dream, is to create an ecosystem, a sovereign ecosystem around the becoming, around the documenting, so that the movement funds itself in a way that funds and supports the woman so that the woman can exist and do the work of becoming. And in that, honoring the fact that I am also a mother and an Indigenous woman with cultural responsibilities. And I want to be well. Being well is the governance of my work, of my impact, my income, my influence. And in this season, realizing that all of it, the truth comes back to, I need to be brave enough to be my own purpose. I am the seed and the source of everything that flows from me. My motherhood, my work, my story, my speaking, my entrepreneurship, my roles and responsibilities are all ripple effects. And how I show up for that is who I am. And I can only show up for others as much as I've showed up for myself. I can only take people as far as I've taken myself. I can only teach and share from what I've already lived or what I know and what I'm qualified and experienced and have lived, because that's my baseline. And yet I'm not doing that. The knowing and the talking, but the effort and the action and the consistency just isn't matching up. But what I was talking about last year was almost like my future self was planting that there, because I knew that I would need the teachings that I would need already exist. I just need to go back and watch my own YouTube channel and start to implement and execute. And if you are on your own journey of becoming, the bravest thing we can do is be real and honest with ourselves. Because when you start to document your actual effort and you start to document the journey, not just journaling and everything, but this is self-care as responsibility of being well in your own experience, having a grounded, regulated nervous system. These are not luxuries or afterthoughts of going, everyone else matters more than me. It's like, no, I can show up in a stronger, more sustainable, stable way, more consistently, for my roles and responsibilities, my children, my workplace, whatever your life looks like, when you are well and grounded within yourself, when you know who you are, you know what your values are, you know what your priorities are. Yet too many of us see that as a nice luxury, or not having they see it as having a luxury to be able to slow down enough to know those things. Yet from my own experience, it is knowing who I am, who I am in my own life experience and who I'm becoming. And that becomes the power that creates clarity, that creates peace and trust, that creates a regulated nervous system and creates the capacity for the woman to show up and respond to her own life experience, to not react. And that's what this season is teaching me, is that I am strong enough. I am capable, but something has to shift, because I have to create nervous system regulation. I have to ground my nervous system. I'm too emotional, I'm too reactive, and I'm not as consistent as what I'd like, as what I need to be in order to create the real change. Not just for a couple of weeks, not just for a couple of months, but for this to become the identity. And if you're in a similar season of becoming and shifting, I want you to have a look at effort versus outcome. What is your body saying? Where is your health? Where is your bank balance? Are your bills paid? Are you safe in your own experience? Do you know what your income is? Do you know where it's going? Do you have a good handle and relationship on your money and your health as the foundations for how you show up? And where is your energy and your time and your focus actually going? Do you even know? Are you bullshitting yourself into what you're actually doing versus what you think you're doing? What's creating movement? What's creating momentum? What do you need to do more of, and how can you carry and hold yourself in this season and meet yourself along the journey with love, but also accountability and responsibility? And what is keeping you stuck? What patterns are you repeating that if you disrupted them and you created a system for yourself of going, how do I know myself? How do I create safety within that change that I'm wanting? And then how can I create consistent micro actions that make the action so small that it feels easy, that you almost dismiss it. But when done consistently, it can build over time, it can grow over time until you suddenly look up and go, I was back there, now I'm here. The effort you're putting in is compounding. It is growing, it is building you, it is nurturing you. And this for me is the foundation to where I'm going. In order for me to become a black belt world champion at 42, in order for me to build a multi-million-dollar brand and wealth asset so that I can create the lifestyle and the intergenerational wealth that I want for myself and my family, and be well in my own experience, and the journey can become resourced, but also to be able to invest and support and fund the change in the work I want to see in the world, not burn out in the delivery of it. In order for the movement, the millions and the mandate to become possible, it's now about raising the baselines and redefining what does safety, sovereignty, protection, stability look like. It's about getting real with myself and going, okay, this is who you are. This is how you move through the world. These are your strengths. This is what drains you. This is what lights you up. This is your manawahine. This is the power of the woman. This is where your true, this is where you get your Kung Fu Panda inner peace. This is where you just get to be yourself. And then when you stop trying and you just get to be, that's when all your power, everything else becomes a ripple effect, when you are the seed and the source of your own experience and you stop trying and you just get to be. That's the most powerful thing we can do for those that we love and serve. But it means building a new relationship. It means redefining the baselines and raising the baselines, building more capability and capacity. So I'm nurturing and birthing the woman who is going to become the Barkindji warrior heart, who is going to be able to be the matriarch and the custodian of the dreaming and the mandate. A woman who can meet herself in her own experience and be able to be everything she needs to be for herself and her family, so that the impact, the income and the influence are just ripple effects. Becoming a black belt world champion will be playtime. Of course I will have millions in my experience seeded from my voice and my business and my experience. When I know who I am and I am the seed and the source and I become my own purpose. And I build and nurture the woman who can carry and hold and be the matriarch and the custodian. Because if this is the impact I can have already, 3-time world champion, black belt, 3 degrees, built a multiple 6-figure business off of my personal brand and speaking, started a foundation working with young Aboriginal women and youth while pregnant with my 4th child, and everything else that comes with it, and that's just to name the top. Imagine what becomes possible and how much more I can alchemize and amplify the impact of my story and my wisdom and my energy if the source is well, if the source is resourced, and I'm no longer burnt out or self-abandoning or living and moving from survival mode. Because I'm not sharing this because I've got it all figured out. I'm sharing this because I'm actively building my way forward. I'm walking and weaving this journey in real time. And I know so many women are walking this edge as well. I've had so many yarns with women who are on the same path, who know that their life needs to change or their life is forcing them to change, but they're stuck. They get a little bit ahead and then they stop, and we go back to our old identities and our old selves. And for me, I want to build a transcendent life. I heard Viola Davis talking about creating a transcendent life, and it was medicine. It was meeting something so powerful in that. I don't know how to put it, but when I looked at what a transcendent life was, it was like, that's what sovereignty and self-determination and freedom look like. That is what a culturally grounded, ancestrally guided and dreaming led life looks like, where I just get to be myself. I get to exist peacefully and abundantly aligned as myself, nothing more or nothing less. And that is where the true power lies. That's where the true freedom lies. And if this is speaking to you and you want to join the journey, hit like or subscribe on the YouTube channel, leave me a comment so that this can reach more people. And it also lets me know that you are here, that me documenting the journey is serving you. Come and join the Warrior Heart community over on School. It is a free community where you can activate your Warrior Heart. There is a 7-day challenge in the community. There are free resources in the community, and then you have everything you need to start the journey. But if you are ready for more and you are ready for community, you are ready to be a part of your own journey but not walk it alone, the Warrior Heart Inner Circle is opening up at the end of March. It is going to be special. It is going to be powerful. If you want behind the scenes, if you want community, if you want friendship, if you want support, this is the place in the community for women who are ready to activate themselves into their own experience and are done with survival mode, burnout, and self-abandonment as a way of life, love, leadership, and legacy. And we are ready to raise the baselines of our own experience by becoming our own purpose and becoming the seed and the source of our life, our love, and our leadership. This is a really special time, and this is really important because you can't hide. Like I said, your bank balance and your body are keeping score. The bills are due every month. Are you doing the work? Are you laying the foundations? I know I wasn't, but now I get to use that information to make March different. I get to use the next 30 days and map them and document them and keep track and see what comes on the other side of this. I will check in with you at the end of the week. This is the Warrior Heart Rising season, and I'm Chantel Thompson, the Barkindji Warrior Heart.